Hello, girls. Lovely to see you all.
Love to see
Hello,
you.
Letty.
Right, so we're going to talk about something. I don't know what we're going to talk about. So let's see what we have today to talk about. So Claudia, would you be so kind as to read the first question?
Give some reasons why you would like to change your gender. Oh, because...
So everyone think a little bit.
Okay, because in this society, men earn more money than women in employees. And because they don't have to, I don't know the word, let's change. Because they can be standing up.
The first reason.
Right, I do agree with that one, Claudia. When we're out and we can't find a decent public toilet, a man can go anywhere, not to the toilet.
Yes.
So they do have that advantage. So, but if you Google it, there is something online you can buy for a woman to be able to go to the toilet in very extreme situations. So Google it and you will be surprised what you will find, a gadget to help us go to the toilet in extreme situations.
Yes.
Another thing you mentioned was wages and salary.
Yes, and the last reason that came to my mind is that they don't have to depilate their body.
They don't have to get what?
Depilate. Or
get the hair, the body hair.
Oh, they don't need to they don't need to get waxed.
To shave.
To shave or to wax.
But it's not shaved. See, depilate to
epilady. It's waxing. Right. So they don't need to remove body hair. So you, as I can't hear very well, this is my problem sometimes, but that's okay because you have to explain more. So the another advantage is that they don't need to remove body hair, either with an epilady or with waxing or with cream.
Yeah,
that's it.
But I think times are changing. It depends on the fashion now. And if the man plays a certain sport, they do remove body hair. But I do understand what you mean. It can be a problem for women. Right, Lily, what about you? Would you like to change gender? What is the advantage of changing gender?
Actually, no, but if I would like to change my gender, maybe it would be because men don't suffer about menopause, about hormonal changes, and they live free from that.
Right. So I do agree with you there that as women, we suffer from menopause, hormonal problems, periods, and I don't know, do men suffer from any of those things? Well, they could have a midlife crisis, no, they could have that, but they do some stupid things when they say they have that, no? They get a younger girlfriend, they buy a new car, but physically, I think women have to suffer or put up with more pain. I do agree with you there. So we would like to have a better deal in life, referring from our chemical situation of our bodies, no? What about you, Selma?
I think the reasons if I would like to change my gender is the same of the
other girls, no?
The girls. And
you can't think of anything different. And you, Lucia?
Oh gosh, the main reason for me is that they don't give birth, you know.
That's another one. They don't know what it's like to give birth
And,
and go through that experience, no?
how can I say, Letty, when you feed the little baby,
You can feel it inside you,
in your chest?
in your womb.
No, I mean when the baby is born, you have breast
And to breastfeed.
Breastfeeding.
Breastfeed.
Yeah.
I see, yes.
Thank you.
So you have
Thank
to
you, Claudia.
breastfeed as well. That can be a problem as well for some women, no? And emotionally, if they can't do it, no? Everything is
Yeah.
related to emotions. I don't know who made us, but whoever it was, he didn't think of us a lot. He just thought
Yeah.
about giving us all the things to do in life, no? I don't think he thought of sharing. So maybe it would be interesting if it was possible just to change for a day, no? Just to change for a day our gender and see if there are any advantages or disadvantages. I'm not going to say any more yet because maybe another question is related, but I would like men to be us for a day and for them to think about us, no?
Yeah.
Right. Claudia, the next question.
Is it easier to raise a boy or a girl? I think in this society and nowadays, I think it's the same responsibility. Times had changed, but I think before maybe it was a little bit easier to have a boy and raise a boy because of the chauvinism. They are more free and they have less problems, and there are some societies where it's better to be a boy than a girl. They don't have restrictions, and it's easier for them to do some things or to access to some services or education or public sites or things like that. But nowadays, I think it's the same.
It's easier. You have the same different problems, but they have the same things. And Lily, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Claudia. Nowadays, it's easier. Well, no easier for me. It's difficult to raise a boy and a girl because girls nowadays they are different
from other generations, no?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Selma, what would you like to say?
I think it's easier to raise a boy because a girl, I have 3 sons, and so I think that it's easier to cope without many little things. You have to pay attention in a girl to pull bows and to pull many things. And a boy, in this aspect, it's easier. But to raise children, it's a difficult way. We don't have a guide, and you have to cope with the situation as they appears in our life.
I think now we are starting to talk more about parenting and the difficulties and the complications. Before, our generation before, I don't think we talked about anything. We just accepted it, and we didn't question anything. We just got on with it, and in silence, no? What about you, Luza?
Yeah, I have nothing more to add. It's hard to raise a human being, no matter if it's a girl or a boy. Life is not easy in that world. So yeah, it's hard.
Just to add on, do you think it's more complicated now? There are more dangers in life than there was before, or is it the same?
in my opinion, definitely is harder today. In the past, in my point of view, it was easier because of the way the world is, is going on with violence and competition in market,
Yeah,
in
society asks a
work,
lot from you,
job.
no? Society wants you to be a certain way. And if you're not successful the way they think success is, you are
Yeah,
nobody, no? So I think it's more complicated.
yeah,
So
more
before there were
competitive.
different problems, no? Now we have the internet, we have drugs, we have, well, we still had that before, maybe the drugs, but also the violence, because people have lost the respect for each other. So we
Yeah.
have more complicated problems now. Where before maybe we just worried about our finances, where the bread was coming from tomorrow, if we had a job. So maybe we worried about different things.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would like to be a teenager now, because I think it's very complicated, no? You have to do well in your studies, you have to go to university. If you don't do this, you're not regarded as a good person. So it's complicated to bring up children. And also there is no book which can help us, no? And we didn't talk about it before, no? How to do it. Nobody helped us before. Maybe we talk a little bit more sometimes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right, Lily, you can start this time.
Who has an easier life, men or women?
So it's all going about the same thing. I don't know if you get the idea.
I think I think men they has an easier life because they have freedom. They have more freedom like women. But at the same time, they have a very big responsibility to give the maintenance to their families.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So they have to be the breadwinner. So that could be stressful, no? Earning enough money to keep the family going. So it all depends on many things. But sometimes life could be easier for a man because he has less responsibilities. He has one main one, which could be complicated, but he doesn't have to, like, I'm going to be quiet now. Selma, give me your opinion.
I think it's easier for men, but in the past time, it's more easier. Despite the man is the support of the family, so financial support, because nowadays the women has a lot of tasks and have outside a work outside the home and has children and has to cope with many things at home, so it's more difficult.
Right.
Despite
So the word you need is breadwinner, right? Breadwinner is the person who gives financial support to the family. In our
breadwinner.
generation, Selma, it was normally the man who did that.
The man.
And the woman stayed at home and did the housework and looked after the children. This is our generation. And then society changed and things became different for the woman, because then she was expected to do two things, inside and outside the home. What about you, Luza? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's still easier for men, but it's quite easier to women because they can share the responsibilities and the breadwinner can be shared too. Yeah,
Right.
despite
So
the
Selma
different.
and I generation was one way. Then Lily and Claudia's generation was another way. And our children are living another generation.
Yeah.
For
But
example,
Another way.
yeah, go Salma.
no, but my generation, I worked since 20 years outside, but we have more responsibilities with children or many things. But the generation of my mom, it's all the men are supporting the family, no, them.
Right. So you're like the second generation. So your mother or our grandmothers had to work in the house and look after the
house.
children, and they
Yeah.
weren't expected to go out to work. Then maybe with our generation, we started to do both. And with the other generation, which are our children or our grandchildren, they are learning to share more the responsibilities because society is changing, thankfully. Each day is changing a little bit more. So, for example, I'm going to tell secrets now. My daughter doesn't do the cooking. Her partner does the cooking, for example,
nice.
because he's a better cook. My daughter does other activities in the house, or she organizes other things. So maybe if you find a partner, each person does what they are good at, and you work as a team to share everything, no?
Exactly.
And my daughter's partner also looks after the children. So it depends who is busy working or responsibilities. They take it in turns to look after the children. Whereas in my time, my husband wasn't allowed to look after my children because my mother-in-law would not let him. She thought it was disgraceful if he had to look after the children because it wasn't his place or his role. So each culture, tradition, country, family are different.
Yeah.
Not everyone is different.
Yeah.
Right then, Selma, you're going to start.
Are women better bosses than men?
And then
I don't
Lucy.
know. I don't know, but I think that maybe can be, but I think women and men can be bosses, good bosses. But in my experience, I worked for 43 years, and my worst bosses were women.
All right. They were women. So from your personal experience, it wasn't good.
Exactly. But I'm in charge for more 20 years, maybe, and I think that I was a good boss for my team. But my bosses, the high bosses, is women are not good.
It's
I
a
don't know.
shame, no, that women don't know how to treat women well, no? And Luisa, what do you think?
I think it depends because, you know, women sometimes, as you said, let women don't treat women each other well as men maybe, but in my experience, I prefer men because men, you know, don't have TPM to deal with, or you know, this kind of things, and not so emotional. Women sometimes are too much emotional and
Right. So it
yeah,
has two readings, no? You can read it both ways, no? So maybe women become too emotional, and this affects the choice of the way to act, no?
yeah, yeah. In a company, for example, you have to, you know, think with your
Brain.
rational you know.
Right. And maybe we think too much with our heart rather than being realistic, you
Yeah.
know? We're
Mhm.
generalizing, but this is possible. And what about you, Claudia?
In my opinion, both of them are able to be bosses, and it depends. You need to learn how to be a boss, a good boss. But I've never had a woman as a boss, more frequently a man. And but I think women are more severe, organized, and sometimes understanding with other women, but that's not the rule. Usually women have to fight a lot to get a position, and because of that maybe they are more severe with women. We have no solidarity of gender between women.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've heard of that, that as they've had to fight to get to the top, they are harder on their own female colleagues who are underneath them. And Lily, would you like to say something?
Well, in my case, I think it's 50-50. I had very good bosses, men, and good bosses, women. And well, for me, it's equal.
Right.
Mhm.
I think it depends on the person. I think it's important, in my opinion, that the bosses should have training of how to deal with people. Maybe I'm always talking about the past because I come from the past. Maybe in the other generations, people became bosses without any training of the best way to deal with people, how to get the most of their skills. And I know from my sisters who have had positions where they are leaders of a team, and for big companies, they were sent every couple of months on a training course, or they used to do, I don't know how to say it in English now, they used to go away and do team sports and learn how to solve problems together. And we might think, oh, that's silly, no? They used to have to try and cross a river with a tin, a big drum, oil drum, and some sticks or trunks of wood. And they had to make something together to cross the river. So that was teamwork and organizing everybody, no? So I
Yeah,
think training
I
is
think
important.
yes, I think it's called soft skills,
Yeah.
and maybe
Maybe
to
I can't
develop
remember.
emotional intelligence. It's very important.
Mhm.
So I remember my sister say, this weekend we're going to do this, whatever, training. And they used to go away to the countryside and they used to do some activity working together outside. Or she would go to a managerial course of how to deal with her team. So I think these skills are better seen now than they were before. So girls, let's finish for today. And thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much
you.
for
Thank
your
you.
thoughts.
Thank you
See
so
you.
much, Maiden. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.